Live, local, late breaking. WPBF 25 News at 5 starts now.
The impacts are going to be far, far broader than just where the eye of the storm happens to make landfall. In some areas, there will be catastrophic flooding and life-threatening storm surge.
Hurricane Ian inching closer to Florida. The effects of the hurricane already being felt. The storm system intensifying and bearing down over western Cuba before moving into the Gulf. The warm waters in the Caribbean giving Ian everything it needed to explode into a major hurricane. The Gulf Coast of Florida now making final preparations for a direct hit. Hundreds of thousands of people near Tampa are under mandatory evacuation orders. And check out these lines to get sandbags in Tampa earlier today. Residents waiting hours to fill up sandbags in order to protect their properties. Good evening. I'm Tiffany Kenny.
And I'm Felicia Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us. Hurricane Ian is well on its way to be the worst storm the west coast of Florida has seen in more than 100 years. All of our local counties.
We now return to Wink News special continuing live coverage of Hurricane Ian.
New code on Ian as soon as it comes out in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, in the same way we take stock of our homes, hospitals are doing the same thing right now, securing themselves to make sure that everybody stays safe.
Yeah, Wake News health and medical reporter Amy Osher takes a look at how Lee Health is securing hospitals that are located in high-risk flood zones.
This is Channel 9 Eyewitness News at 10. Coverage you can count on.
We begin with breaking news on this evening where the governor is speaking in Tallahassee. Good evening. I'm Martha Sigalski.
And I'm Greg Wormuth. Let's listen into his latest briefing. Also, we'll give you the latest track of Hurricane Ian. Here's the governor.
We're tracking Hurricane Ian as it approaches the state of Florida. Chief Meteorologist Bill Quinlan will have the latest update on the storm.
Several schools are serving as emergency shelters. We'll tell you about preparations underway at one location.
And with this Gators set to host an FCS school this week, Billy Napier discusses areas where the team needs to improve. Those stories and more. The TV20 News at 11 starts now.
This is News at 11 on WCJB TV 20, your local station.
Preparations are underway as North Central Florida residents are getting ready for Hurricane Ian.
And we'll have that information about evacuation orders in just a moment. But first, Chief Meteorologist Bill Quinlan joins us. And Bill, where is the storm at this hour?
Now, we're getting updates every hour from the National Hurricane Center on position. We only get a new track about every 6 hours. But right now, we're looking at the 11 o'clock advisory. We'll see that in just a second. Look at the satellite view here. This storm is expanding its size. Hurricane force winds are out 40 miles from the center.
Now on Good Morning Suncoast, Hurricane Ian, now a Category 4 hurricane. We're getting this intel just minutes ago, now tracking its progress.
And we have the latest on how local officials and businesses are bracing for Category 4 impacts. Businesses battening down hatches and closures just about everywhere. Good Morning Suncoast at 5 starts right now.
All right, this morning, meteorologist John Scalzi here with us now. John, we're getting that update from the National Hurricane Center into our newsroom just minutes ago. Tell us, what's the latest information we have this morning?
Yeah, this sends chills down my spine.
Absolutely.
We've got a Category 4, a catastrophic, major Category 4 hurricane bearing down on the Suncoast. And it's headed in this direction, somewhere between, it looks like at this point, Venice and Fort Myers. This is a storm system with 140-mile-an-hour winds, similar to the wind speeds with Charlie, but 4 times as large. It is a monster storm with a pressure drop that was seen over the last hour down to 942 millibars. So a big pressure drop, an 8 millibar pressure drop in the space of just a few hours. It is forecast to make landfall most likely as a strong Category 4 hurricane. It's looking that way.
This is CBS 46 News.
Right now at noon, a state of emergency in Georgia. How state officials are preparing as we track Hurricane Ian.
And it is near landfall as very heavy rain and dangerous winds continue to approach the Florida coast. Ella and I are going to break this down for you coming up.
And a rare look into the inside of Hurricane Ian, how the hurricane hunters are able to learn about the storm thousands of feet up in the air. Thanks for joining us this noon. I'm Gurveer Dinza.
And I'm Rob Hughes. We want to turn to a live look from the Sunshine Skyway Bridge that connects Tampa and St. Petersburg. It has been completely shut down as conditions are too dangerous for travel. You can see the camera is not even still because of the high winds in that area. It will not reopen until the storm passes.
Okay, so we've got team coverage for you on Hurricane Ian. Meteorologist Rodney Harris is joining us right now. And Rodney, this storm has stayed that same strength.
Yeah. For hours now.
Yeah, for hours.
And here's the thing, and you were talking about this, you and I, just a couple of minutes ago. The winds are at 155 miles per hour.
Live 5 News starts now with First Alert Weather, tracking Ian.
Well, right now, all eyes are on Hurricane Ian as it continues its destructive path across Florida. The Category 4, nearly Category 5 storm slammed Florida's southwest coast and is expected to bring floodwaters as high as 12 to 18 feet in some areas. Hurricane Ian made landfall as an extremely dangerous hurricane near Punta Gorda, Florida, just northwest of Fort Myers today around 3 p.m. Just take a look at this. The Florida coast experienced maximum sustained winds at 150 miles per hour. The storm surge has been catastrophic, and right now, nearly 2 million customers remain without power. Our thoughts and prayers are obviously with them, but it's not over yet. Ian is continuing to move across the Sunshine State and will make its way toward the Low Country. The Palmetto State taking action and preparing for Ian. The Category 1 storm, it was just downgraded. But there's still a lot of uncertainty. Chief Meteorologist Bill Walsh joining me this evening. And Bill, you just received some new data from the National Hurricane Center. What is it showing?
Yeah, Michael, as you said, it is downgraded to a 1, but it's over land right now. Again, it has been weakening over the last few hours.
Now at 10, Hurricane Ian crashing the west coast. The storm roared ashore as a dangerous Category 4. Officials now working to save those who are trapped and in trouble. Ian unleashing a wall of water.
We have seen life-threatening storm surge.
The flooding fierce, the damage devastating.
The storm also sparking serious power problems, and the darkness could last for days, even longer.
Here in Tampa, they were hoping to avoid a direct hit, and now tonight many are breathing a sigh of relief.
But the relentless rain is not done yet. The system now setting its sights on Central Florida.
Extensive night team coverage of Ian's impact.
I'm Craig Stevens.
I'm Balkis Nure. We have night team coverage of the West Coast catastrophe. It's a dark and dangerous night across Southwest Florida, hours after the area was hit hard by Hurricane Ian.
The storm surge was intense. First responders here had to navigate their way through waist-high water after their fire station flooded.
Here's a look at where the eye of Ian made landfall this afternoon, the tiny barrier island of Cayo Costa, and then the system surged onshore.
A satellite image shows the moment of impact. You can see the well-defined eye and bands of lightning surrounding the center of this powerful, then Category 4 system. Hello and good evening. The west coast of Florida is dealing tonight with a catastrophe.
Ian slamming ashore with 150-mile-an-hour winds, leaving...
Live at 11, Action News Jax starts with First Alert Weather.
The 11 o'clock track for Ian just dropped as the storm marches across Florida, bringing heavy rain in Central Florida right now. Let's take a live look here closer to home in St. Augustine. We are just a few minutes away from high tide, the Atlantic cresting over the seawall in some spots there. And now a live look at Jacksonville Beach, kind of blurry out there, but that's the pier, and you can see that choppy surf. In the last 2 hours, Mayor Lenny Curry announced that all the beaches in Duval County are now closed to the public. I'm Tanika Hughes.
I'm John Bachman. We have team coverage in the First Alert Weather Center and across the region as Ian approaches our area tomorrow. We start with Action News Jax First Alert Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Mike.
Brand new track update as expected right at 11 o'clock here, and it has shifted yet again a little east. Not a lot, but a little bit. That's one thing to note here.
The first daylight images of the destruction Ian left behind after it slammed into Florida's west coast as a powerful Category 4 hurricane.
An entire community now cut off from the rest of Florida, their only road in and out destroyed.
And this system is not done with Florida or the United States. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alex DeArmas.
And I'm Vanessa Borge. 7 News at noon is straight ahead.
This is 7 News at noon.
Off the top this noon, devastating damage. Residents along the southwest Florida coast getting their first good look at the utter destruction after Ian made landfall as a powerful Category 4 hurricane.
An entire community cut off after a causeway collapse. Storm surge washed away part of a critical road that connects Sanibel to the mainland.
Ian weakening now to a tropical storm, but still soaking parts of east central Florida.
Good afternoon, South Florida. I'm Vanessa Borge. President Joe Biden at FEMA headquarters today getting briefed on the impacts of Ian. The commander-in-chief has already signed a disaster declaration for the southwest of Florida area.
And the images coming in are heartbreaking and the level of damage difficult to even comprehend. We have a team of reporters along the southwest Gulf Coast of Florida. And we start right now this noon with 7's Nicole Insalata. She is live in Fort Myers with a look at the damage.
This is News at Noon on WCJB TV 20, your local station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lisa Sicasio. And Ian is a tropical storm after being downgraded this morning. So what's the latest update on its strength, Mike?
All right, well, Ian moving off the east central Florida coastline as of the latest advisory. The center located just offshore of Cape Canaveral and expected to continue to move to the north-northeast, and that will keep it off the east coast of Florida for roughly the next 12 to 24 hours or so. There's the late AM advisory. 70-mile-per-hour winds near the center, and there have been gusts to about 76 at Daytona Beach earlier, and winds about 70 miles per hour thereabouts along the east coast.
This is Channel 9 Eyewitness News at 6. Coverage you can count on.
From the Space Coast to hard-hit Osceola County and beyond, Hurricane Ian's path of destruction is being seen and felt far and wide tonight across Central Florida.
I've never seen the scale of devastation. It's insane, right? Like, it's hard to even comprehend.
Extreme flooding is forcing Floridians to leave their homes, some trapped waist deep or even higher.
It was about 6 feet, Lord.
Local roads now resemble rivers, forcing first responders to come to the rescue.
Firefighters rescuing folks out on stretchers.
The overwhelming high water even forcing local nursing home residents to be evacuated.
Don't go out unless you have to.
Eyewitness News has been on the air since the beginning stages of the storm.
We're already starting to see issues here in Brevard County.
And now at 6, we have complete team coverage following one of the strongest hurricanes to ever hit Florida. Historic and unprecedented, the images from this storm are almost indescribable. Good evening, I'm Greg Wormuth.
I'm Martha Sagowski. Hurricane Ian will be the storm that so many of us will be talking about for years. Here's what...
Covering Southeast Georgia and the Lowcountry. WJCL 22 News at 7 starts now.
Take a look at the aftermath when Ian made landfall in Florida as a Category 4 hurricane. Right now, we have live team coverage as the Lowcountry and coastal Georgia are bracing for the storm's impact.
Georgia Power reporting hundreds are without power. What Governor Kemp is saying about the outages.
Plus, we're live on Tybee Island as people living there are preparing for the intense winds and also the storm surge.
And right now, you are looking at an aerial view. Well, we will show you that aerial view in just a moment. But first, we want to go over to our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Nelson.
And Jeremy, as we're getting closer to midnight, we'll be seeing more of the hurricane's impact on our area and especially some of the coastal flooding.
Yeah, let's take a look outside our weather window here at Hotel Tybee. A couple things you'll notice, some pretty angry seas out there. We had a high surf advisory. We also had a high rip current risk today. A few raindrops now hitting the camera lens, and about 11:21 coming up just before midnight. We're going to watch that water head its way up the beach.
Tonight at 6, we're working for you with team coverage of Hurricane Ian. We'll take you to beaches and downtown to show you what the wind and water look like. Plus,
honestly, just being patient and waiting for the right one.
Catching some waves. We speak with a local surfer and hear how the waves from Ian compared to other storms. ABC News 4 at 6 starts right now.
This is an ABC News 4 Tracking Ian update.
And thank you for continuing to stay with us as we continue our coverage of Hurricane Ian and what that means for us here in the Low Country. We're currently under a hurricane warning.
And even with Ian more than 100 miles away, we are bringing you team coverage. We have crews live downtown on Isle of Palms, Folly Beach, and Edisto. We will hear from each one of them about prep and current conditions in those areas.
But first, let's send it over to Chief Meteorologist Dave Williams for his first forecast. Dave?
Tess and Katie, tomorrow is a storm tracker day. It has been all week, and we've been targeting the main impact from Ian as rain, and that continues to be my biggest concern as we go into our Friday.
Working for you. This is ABC 15 News at 7.
He got hit very, very hard, so we don't know exactly what we're faced with. But we're going through in full force, and we do know the great state of Florida is going to prevail, and we will get through this horrific event.
Hurricane Ian has devastated the state of Florida. Millions are without power in the wake of the Category 4 storm. So far, 9 deaths have been confirmed, but officials expect that number to grow.
Ian has regained strength and is now a Category 1 hurricane. The Grand Strand is under a hurricane warning and the PD a tropical storm warning. It's expected to make landfall along the South Carolina coast tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Ed Piotrowski is here to time out the storm and tell us what we can expect.
All right now, Hurricane Ian, is over the western Atlantic, just off the Florida coast. It didn't take much time to cross Florida, so it did not weaken as much as expected. That's why it was a strong tropical storm this morning, and just a slight uptick in strength has brought it back to hurricane status now.
You're watching WWAY News at 11.
Now on WWA News at 11, thousands of Floridians trapped in flooded homes and shattered buildings as the storm now churns toward the Carolinas.
Coastal flooding, heavy rain, and gusty winds are likely as this storm passes through.
Governor Cooper urging residents from the coast to the mountains to prepare as Ian gets closer. And a local electric co-op takes us inside their operations center to explain how they're tracking anticipated outages in the Cape Fear. Thanks for joining us tonight for your news at 11. I'm Jeff Rivenbark. Hurricane Ian is tonight's top story, and we begin with Chief Meteorologist Lee Haywood, who has the latest information on where it's headed. Lee?
Hey there, Jeff. Yeah, we have the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Just came out a couple of moments ago. Ian is a little bit stronger. Ian has winds right now of about 80 miles per hour. It is tracking still to the north and northeast at around 10 miles per hour.
We're gonna just batten down the hatches and just get prepared for the storm.
On WSOC tonight, we're tracking Ian as it gets ready to slam the Carolinas. The changes CMS made to help protect students and families.
And a look tonight from Charleston, South Carolina. Ian now stronger as it approaches the Palmetto State with 80-mile-per-hour top winds when the weather goes downhill for Charlotte coming up.
And, some of the damage was almost indescribable. Some of the homes were wiped out, and some of it was just concrete slabs.
Tonight, people living on a Florida island are cut off because Ian tore through their only bridge to the mainland. The efforts first responders are making to try to get them to safety. You're watching WSOC tonight. We are live at 11. Now, the next several hours are crucial across our area. The last chance to make any final preparations before we see the first rain from Ian.
We'll be in line for strong winds and possible flash flooding. Meteorologist John Ahrens is standing by to break down the latest track and timeline. Our Erica Jackson is live tonight at Myers Park High School. CMS made some changes to protect students and families. First, the latest on the storm damage in Florida. New aerial video tonight of flooding in Orange County. At least 9 people are confirmed dead, but investigators are still searching for survivors and victims. And people who stayed on Sanibel Island are basically stuck there tonight because 3 parts of the causeway connected to the mainland crumbled. The mayor says about 200 households didn't evacuate. First responders now have to use boats to get there. And more on that in a live report that's coming up in just a moment.
I'm joined now over here at the Mon by meteorologist John Aarons. And John, you are getting the latest information on Ian's track, and you just got an update. What'd you learn?
And some concerning information here, Erica, from the new information, and we're still going over it right now, but this is what has me a little startled. So it's a Category 1 hurricane as it approaches the Carolina coastline with 85-mile-per-hour winds.
Your most watched, most trusted news with certified First Alert weather. This is WITN News at 6.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Dave Jordan.
And I'm Courtney Bunting. Our top story tonight concerns Hurricane Ian. We're getting a look today at the devastation left behind in Florida as the storm now heads north.
The storm made landfall yesterday as a Category 4 hurricane, and the brunt of Hurricane Ian has already passed through Florida. Now for areas like Lee County, it is time to deal with the damage. Aerials from the Lee County Sheriff's Office show the significant impact left behind. Video shows flood damage to roads and homes alike and damage from debris and heavy winds.
Covering news across your hometown, we're working hard for you. This is WHSV News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Simone McKinney.
And I'm Kyle Rogers. Bob and Chelsea have the night off.
We begin tonight with the latest on Ian, the powerful storm making landfall in Florida yesterday afternoon as a Category 4 hurricane, decimating parts of southwest Florida and knocking out power for 2 million people.
It was downgraded to a tropical storm, but just moments ago, it's been upgraded back to a Category 1 hurricane.
Now at 11, Hurricane Ian now taking aim at South Carolina.
When you can expect the rain to start falling here in Hampton Roads.
Tonight, Virginia and North Carolina under states of emergency.
I want to be clear. This storm can still be dangerous and even deadly.
A closer look at how each state is preparing. Plus,
as Ian inches closer to us, people on the Outer Banks are already feeling the wind. I'll show you how crews are keeping NC Highway 12 clear.
First responders from Virginia Beach are on the ground in Florida, where Task Force 2 is helping tonight with search and rescue efforts. And as we come on the air tonight, Ian is taking aim at South Carolina. After weakening to a tropical storm earlier, it's once again a Category 1 hurricane. Ian made landfall as a Cat 4 more than 24 hours ago. The destruction it left in Florida is catastrophic. Take a look. This is all that's left of Fort Myers Beach tonight, and we still don't know the full extent of the damage there. Sanibel Island, just outside Fort Myers, also was hit hard. The island is connected to the mainland by this causeway. You can see chunks of pavement have crumbled, leaving residents cut off. Evan Stewart is tracking Ian's path for us tonight. Evan?
And we just got the 11 o'clock advisory in from the Hurricane Center, and it has strengthened a little bit. And as you look at the satellite, it does not look like your typical hurricane. It is sort of a little bit of a hybrid right now, and that'll be the case. But that doesn't mean it's any less dangerous, as the storm has winds of 80 miles per hour as of that 11 o'clock advisory.
Live, local, now. The news starts right now with breaking news.